Hello everyone, welcome to the PeopleSoft channel where we simplify PeopleSoft concepts in everyday language. My name is Samir. So the agenda for today's video is we will see how a typical shopping experience looks on an e-commerce website like Amazon. Then following a similar experience, we will start creating a requisitions in PeopleSoft. While creating a requisition, we will understand the structure of a requisition and we will see each section in detail. Then once the requisition has been submitted, we will understand how the approval workflow process looks like. Then we will see what are the requisition tables which are affected once the requisition has been created and after the requisition has been approved. And finally, we will perform the budget checking operation on the requisition. eProcurement or electronic procurement is an application using which you can create requisition on behalf of your organization. So requisition is basically an initiation of the purchasing process of goods and services for your organization. Before I explain you the procedure, I would like to give you an analogy of how a retail user performs online shopping from an e-commerce website. So let's say a user might go to Amazon.in, which is one of the most leading e-commerce company. He might search for a particular item. Let's say he wants to order computer keyboard. Then he would search for the items and he would get list of all the available items which is matching his search criteria. So he might select any of the items, and once he does, he will see all the item details like the item descriptions, the item features, the item price, expected delivery date, finally makes a checkout, and once the checkout is made, once the payment is made, a unique order ID is generated for this order. Throughout the cycle of this order, that means right from the order is being placed to all the way to the order is being delivered, the transaction is referred by using the order ID. So this is how things works for a retail shopping using e-commerce site. Creating requisition is a similar process. So in order to understand the process, we have this document which explains the e-procurement process approvals and overview. So I will provide the link of this document in the description of this video so you can have a look into this document and we will try to follow this document. So the first step involved, a requester gathers info for the requisitions. That means what are the items which are required. Alright, to give you an example, let's say there are two new employees which have joined your organization, which has joined your department, and you want to set up a desktop system along with the router for these two employees. So you need to purchase the routers and the desktop systems for your department. So let's see how to create a requisition. So the navigation involves eProcurement, then requisition. This will take you to the create requisition page, which looks like this. So as you can see, we have various options in order to create the requisition. However, we will go through the most basic one, which is the catalog shopping. Similar to how we saw a catalog on Amazon, let's select the computer equipment catalog. As soon as you click on the catalog, you can see all the items which are available under this catalog. You can browse through them and you can select the one which suits your requirement. You can see there are 50 items available under this catalog. Alright, so let's say I want to purchase two desktop PCs. So as you can see, this is one of the items which are available, and these are all the item attributes such as the item ID, the price, unit of measure, the currency, the supplier, as well as manufacturing details, similar to how we saw on e-commerce website. So let's say I want to purchase two quantities of this desktop. So you can select the quantity here and you can click on add to cart. Before you click on add to cart, I would like to bring your attention to the concept of lines. So lines represent the number of items, the number of unique items we have in our cart. So right now you can see we have 0 lines because our cart is empty, right? So let's add this item of 2 quantities. Let's add this to the cart, and now you can see we have 1 line. Okay, that means we have 1 unique items. Remember, line does not bother about the quantities. It just considers the number of unique items. So now I have 1 unique item, so I have 1 line. In summary, 1 item represents 1 line. All right. Now let's say I also want to purchase the routers for the 2 desktops which I want to buy. So as you can see, this is the desktop 600 Mbps desktop PC router, and I would similarly add 2 quantities of this router. So right now we have 1 line in our cart, which is the desktop. But if I click on add, you can see right now we have 2 lines. That means we have 2 unique items in our cart. Now let's say that we have the required items added to the cart. Okay, so let's perform the checkout now. So you can click on this checkout button. All right, so this is how a requisition looks like. Before we provide more details, let's go back to this state. We are right now in this stage where requester creates a requisition in ePro. So we are still in the creation process. All right. So before we continue, I would like to explain the structure of a requisition. How does a requisition looks like? So there are 4 sections of a requisition. The first section is called requisition header. The next called requisition lines. The next is requisition schedule or requisition shipping. And the last section is requisition distrib, which is also called as accounting lines. All right. So requisition header gives you a summary or a very high level detail of the requisition, such as the requisition ID, the business unit, who is the requester, what is the currency, what is the requisition date, what is the requisition name, what is the priority, etc. It does not provide you any details with respect to the lines or with respect to the items, with respect to the shipping address, or with respect to the account. As it's a header, it will only show you the high level details. Next is requisition lines. So requisition lines or sections provide you all the details for the items which you have ordered. As you can see, you can have the item details under requisition lines. Then the third section is called requisition ship, which involves the shipping details, such as what is the location, what is the country, then what is the address in details, what is the due date, etc. And the last section is requisition distrib or accounting lines. So right now you are purchasing this 2 items on behalf of your organization. So in your organization, there must be some entry or record for this purchase because the organization needs to track every single expenditure which is happening throughout the organization. So in order to track that expense, the entry will be made in the general ledger of the financial system of the organization. In order to make the entry, we need to provide the details such as what is the account, what is the department, what is the location, etc. So let's provide these details. So let's provide the shipping details first. So in order to do that, we can click on this edit all for all lines. Before we do that, you can see that these details are available automatically. I did not provide these details. However, these are the default details which are saved or which are scheduled for my requester ID. This is helpful if I want to create a requisition recurrently after every X number of days. However, if I want to change these details, I can click on edit for all lines. And now this is the requisition shipping sections. So I will quickly give some of the shipping details. Like let's say I want to ship the items to this location. The due date I want is 13th of June, and I can give a comment such as please ship the items as soon as possible, and I can give this attention to Mr. Robert. All right. And now, as we saw the purpose of the accounting lines, we need to provide the accounting details in order to track the expense at the general ledger. So let's provide the accounting details. The first one is 100. So the first one is the percent. So here I will give it 100% because I just have one accounting entry. In case we have multiple accounting entries, we can split them across various percentages. All right. The location, I would select it as US 001. The GL unit or the general ledger unit under which the expense has to be tracked, I will also give it as US 001. Now, what is the account? I will give it as 600020, and then I will give the department. So let's give the department as 11000. Then I will click on OK. I will apply it to all the distribution lines. All right. So now you can see the commands which I gave, which are available here, and the updated shift location is also available. Now, if you want to add further comments, you can add those comments here, such as let's process the requisition before 10th June. All right. If you want to add this comment, or if you want to send this comment to the vendor, you can check this checkbox. Similarly, if you want to make this comment available on the receipt or on the voucher, then you can check these two checkboxes. And the last one is the approval justification. So here you can give the comments for the approver. So you can give a sample comment such as, could you please approve requisition placed for 2 new resources under W02 warehouse. All right, so if we check the requisition creation workflow, the next step involves requester saves and previews the approval and add additional ad hoc approvers to the requisition. All right, so let's preview the approval. So if you click on this preview approvals button, okay, requisition has to be saved first. So if I click on OK, it will save the requisition. And now you can see this is how the requisition approval workflow looks like. That means the requisition has been initiated, and it will go to this person called Michael Bulher for the requisition approval. In order to enable the requisition approval workflow, you can navigate to this path, and then you can select the required business unit, and you can see the list of options which now let's get back to the requisition. Okay, so you can click on written, and now let's save and submit the requisition. All right, so now you can see our requisition has been created successfully. This is the requisition ID. We did not give any name to our requisition, so it has taken the ID as a name. However, if you want to give any specific name, you can do that. And these are the basic header details. We have 2 lines, and this is the total amount which is made up of for the 2 items of this requisition. And if you can see, the requisition is now pending for approval. So now we discussed few minutes back that a requisition has 4 different sections: the requisition header, line, ship, and district. All right. So if you want to check in the database the details about the requisition, you can take this requisition ID, and there are 4 different tables. These are called PSREC header, PSREC line, PSREC line ship, and PSREC LN district. So what we will do is let's quickly check the details of this requisition. So I will just pass the business unit and the requisition ID to all the 4 tables. Okay, So if we check the requisition header, you can see now we have the requisition details available here. The requisition status is P. P stands for pending. This is the requisition date. And you can see the bunch of available details under requisition header. As we discussed, it only contains the high level detail of the requisition. Next is requisition line. Similarly, if we run this command, you can see we have two lines under this requisition. That means we have two unique items. You can also see the quantity requisitions. So we have ordered the two quantities for both the item. All right. Then you can see all the item related details which are available under requisition line. Similarly, we have the requisition ship. Here also we have the shipping details for the two lines. And next is the requisition distrib. So now let's do one thing. Let's continue with our workflow. So we have previewed the requisition. We also have submitted the requisition. All right. Then PeopleSoft looks at the chart string to determine the department and the project chart. So as we have already provided the requested account details, department details, etc., PeopleSoft will carry this process in behind the scene. Now, system automatically moves the requisition to the correct department managers and work list. So as we saw, the requisition has now been routed to this person for approval. Next is approver logs into the PeopleSoft, go to the work list and retrieves the requisition. So now let's log in on behalf of this person. So I will now log out from my profile. Let's log in through Michael's user system in order to see if we can approve the requisition. All right. So now I'm logged in using the Michael's user ID and I will click on the approval system. Now in the requisition, you can see that now I have this requisition submitted. All right. So this is the requisition which I submitted. These are the previous one, but the latest requisition we have submitted is this one for 1218 USD. And you can see that I can directly check here and click on approve. However, I have another navigation which we can use. So let's go to eProcurement, then manage requisition approvals. So if I click on it, I can give the criteria. If I have the requisition ID, I can directly take the requisition ID and provide it here. And I will click on search. As you can see, I have the requisition details which is pending for approval. So now let's approve the requisition. In order to do that, let's click on the requisition and you can see I can now see here the requisition details. Okay, I can also edit the requisition is required. All right, so let's approve the requisition. I can give the comments such as requisition is approved and let's submit it. So now you can see that the requisition has been approved successfully. So if you check in the database, earlier the requisition status was P, but now if you check the database, the requisition status has been A. That means the requisition has been approved. All right, and also you can see the details here. Now, this is how you would create a requisition. And if we check the workflow, if the approver denies the requisition, workflow sends it back to the original requester. However, if the approver requisitions is approved the requisitions, workflow move the requisition to the next approval list. In our case, we had only one approver set up in our workflow system. However, in the real world, we can set up multiple level of approvals. So in case of multiple level of approvers, if all of them approves the requisition, then the requisition becomes eligible to create a PO in PeopleSoft. As you can see, after all the approvers have finished, the system marks the requisition as approved. In our case, we had only one approver, hence the requisition has been marked as approved. Alright, then the system notifies the original requester that the requisition is approved. We already saw that. And now the fully approved requisition is available for budget checking. Alright, so now let's perform the budget checking. So now to perform a budget check, let's sign out from the approver's profile and let's sign in once again to the requester's profile. Let's once again go to eProcurement. Then let's go to requisitions, or let's go to manage requisitions. And you can see this is the requisition which we just created and it is in approved status. You can see the budget is in not checked status. So let's check the budget for this requisition. You can click on check budget and you can click on go. So once you've done that, you can see a process is running behind the scene. Let's wait for the process to complete. I will also show you which process performs the task of budget checking. This process is responsible to check the budget for the given requisition. So if you click on details and if you check the message log, you can see that request one statistics document processed once. That means we have successfully checked the budget for the given requisition. You can also see the budget is valid. That means this requisition has a valid budget in order to complete the purchase. Alright, let's go check the next step, which involves buyer sources the requisition into a purchase order. So now we have successfully created a requisition out of PeopleSoft. We also check the approval process workflow. How does it look like? We also perform the valid budget check, and now everything is valid. So that's it for this video, guys. In the next video, we will use the same requisition and we will create a purchase order out of this requisition. So this is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.